Everybody, this is NFT Film Squad. Wednesday with the OGs. Hey, Sophie. Um, just getting started here, recording the space and waiting for people to come in. Soph, I just sent you a request, and there you go.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Busy times in London right now.
Yeah.
Don't know why. Everything's got busy in the real world and Twitter world. So things happening.
Dude, yeah. What did I just see on your IG the other day? What were you up to? Took a play.
Yeah, that was me in my fancy suit. Yeah, that was a big odd theatre show. I went to previews. It's yeah, I went for my androgynous vibe. I'm loving it.
Oh, nice. So you guys are in previews now?
This is my friends doing it. I'm just
Oh,
going to see and going to support. But yeah, it's great. It's good fun. Some nice post COVID show.
oh,
Touchwood.
yeah. Post COVID.
Yeah,
I guess,
we're praying.
yeah, in some worlds. Oh, cool. I'm just gonna say hi to everybody. Welcome to the NFT Filmmaker Squad, the OG edition. We're gonna get started in a little bit. It's great to see some new faces here. To give you a quick idea of who we are, we have been running clubhouse rooms and spaces for about a year now. Ever since basically I got into the NFT world, and I was like, where are my filmmakers at? So I threw together this with four other women, and we started chatting it up, and people started joining, and we've been doing this every Wednesday, and now we have expanded to Mondays and Saturdays. So it's pretty exciting, because I think that we are on the cusp of something huge. Now that so many filmmakers are showing up and really, helping to innovate and trailblaze this space. So psyched to see so many new faces in here, and uh, let's get going. If you are new and you don't know much about us, you can find our Discord in my link tree. I'm hoping that Discord link hasn't expired. I have to go double check that. But if you come into the Discord, I notice we're getting a lot of people, but you're not going through the verification process. Make sure you go to that start here something channel, which will verify you so that you can see all the channels open up, and you get to interact with all the different filmmakers in there. And what else? I think that's it for now. So what we're going to do today, typically we spotlight on Wednesdays. We have spotlighted a lot of artists over the last year, from really the beginning with J. Harry Edmonston. If you know him, he really was, for me, the first person out there really doing some cool stuff. And then we've spotlighted David Bianchi and Lauren Washington, and then most recently we've talked to Julie Pacino and Miguel Faust. So we typically talk with a lot of filmmakers, but also since the space is growing so quickly, there are a lot of other really cool things happening besides crowdfunding or minting your film. But then there's the whole distribution thing. So we had a really, really cool conversation last week, which we will pick up and continue to talk about over the next little while. The next couple weeks are really cool. Uh, I think I know on the second we're going to be celebrating uh, our very own Miguel Faust as he drops his NFT collection, which having to do with Caladita and crowdfunding in that way, and financing his feature film. That's on March 2nd. And then on March 9th, we have Machen and Mick from Riverdale, and her film that will just be finishing up post, and the NFT work that they're doing around mental health and activism. So those are two scheduled Wednesdays. And we have some other stuff coming up. And as soon as I get those dates, they'll either be in the Discord or I'll shout them out here. But anyway, welcome you guys. Today, I just wanted to sort of open it up. Come on stage. it's kind of been a really epic few weeks. And I wanted to catch up with our community and see what people are doing. Miguel, I'm gonna be inviting you up because you had exciting news yesterday. And I know Film Freak, you wanted to come up and tell us about what you're about. So today's really about, um, sort of putting the spotlight back on our community and what we're doing. And any questions, kind of, it's an ask me or ask anybody anything. We're here for you, whether it's the Alpha 101 or something more sophisticated. Um, we're here. So anyway, Soph.
Hey, yeah, I was just thinking, yeah, if we're talking open questions, I wondered if you knew anything about Cineverse. I was just looking at an article about that earlier today. Maybe it's just one of the things that has slipped through the net for me, but I don't know anything about it. So that's one thing I'm going to throw in there as a potential conversation topic or yeah, question that anyone might have an answer on. But otherwise, Miguel, why don't you share your news? I don't know your news, so I'd love to hear.
Oh my God, how do you not know?
Hi, Jen. Sorry, Sophie. I was coming up on stage as you were talking, so I know the last part of what you asked about my news, but I don't know the first question that you asked, so I don't know if I can answer that.
No, no. My question was just if we're having a sort of free, open discussion today. I was reading an article earlier about Cineverse, a new like NFT film platform, and I didn't really know anything about it. Maybe I just struggle to keep up with all the constant NFT news. So that was just for anyone to respond to or have insight on. But let's prioritize you. Tell me the news.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm curious as well. So if anyone has answers, please give us the alpha. But my news, I guess Jordan was referring to Variety, right? There was a Variety exclusive article yesterday about Kayadita project and Emily Mortimer, who's attached to play the mother in the film, and Jim Cummings, who's our EP, also being attached, and kind of that in one of Variety's dailies from Berlinale.
That's exactly it. But I have to say, the fun part, the part that, first of all, I'm proud as fuck of you and everything that you're doing. And this. I'm super inspired. Think the short film's amazing. Know that the feature's going to be awesome. But when I saw the headline, I laughed so hard because of a conversation that we've had, and everyone knows. The first, I think it's the first European film, and I remember having a conversation with you at some point, once Julie had already done her whole drop, and you were like, "Well, hopefully we'll be the first of something." So, this is me taking the piss out of you just a little bit while I celebrate you, Miguel.
Yeah, no problem. It's funny. If you see the trailer of our Caradita campaign, you can tell that the part where I say that we're gonna be one of the first films to do this is a different sound because I had to re-record that because when I filmed myself doing that whole pitch, I said we were gonna be the first, but then Julie came along and fucked that up for me. So then I had to redo that little sound bite.
Well, Variety did you right by saying you're the first European, and I think, in fact, you might be right.
Yeah, I
As
think
long as I
so.
know,
I
yeah.
haven't.
Yeah, I mean, legitimately, I think you might be able to say this one. I really give everybody hell on this first thing, but it made me laugh, and I'm so excited for you. And by the way, you guys, after we have our like little family chat today, you got to go to Miguel's Discord, which I am sure is in his on his Twitter profile somewhere, because he's having a Caladita sort of ask me anything town hall type thing. Is that right?
Yes, thank you. That's at 4 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, it would be great to have as many people as possible come there and chat with us about what we're doing. We're also going to have a co-op for everyone, so that's exciting. And also, Jordan, I don't want to take too much time, but I have something very exciting to share. Um, I don't really know what to do about it or how to do it, but essentially, so we're doing a couple cool initiatives within our drop that I needed NFTs like I needed to mint those rewards as NFTs kind of soon, like tomorrow. But it's always been my idea that the one of one piece that's gonna be like the pinnacle of the Calladita collection. That's a 4 minute film that I made only specifically for this. Would be my Genesis piece that I minted. So yesterday I minted it. So So it's already on the blockchain, and it's kind of secret now because nobody's seen it, but it's there.
Woohoo! That's
So yeah,
super
it was
cool. Yesterday, gas was so low that it was astonishing. I hope you
yeah,
caught it. Really low.
yeah, I did. But then also, yeah, I was thinking because I was about to maybe post it because since it's out there, why not?
I don't know if you just got rugged, but yeah, I mean, I think that it's a great lead up. It's a great thing to talk about, especially since it's a one of one, and the person, the way you have it very specifically positioned for one specific person. Why not talk about it? I mean, we're 2 weeks away, right? Or yeah, 2 weeks away from your drop.
Yeah, am I rugged or am I here?
You're
I
back.
hear you. Oh, okay, great.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
Great. So yeah, I'm gonna post that and I'll let you know. So that's 4 minutes. So if anyone wants to watch it, I'll be super happy to hear the thoughts from so many talented filmmakers in the room.
Hey, do do you want to put it like out in a tweet right now so we can post it here? We can pin it up here.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Let's do it.
Oh, awesome. Let's do it. That is awesome. Hey, listen, if you guys just arrived, this is a family chat. This is the NFT Film Squad fam chat. We are just catching up on all the cool things that have been going on. So if you want to come up on stage, please send a request and get involved in the conversation. Want to know what you're up to, what you're thinking about, what's confusing. It moves so fast in this space that there are still things like that I'm still trying to sort out and figure out, and I've been talking about this every day for a year. So please feel free to come up and jump into the conversation. um, Anyway, so Miguel, you're going to be tapping that. And I see a couple people are coming up. If you just came in the room, I'm just going to do a quick reset since we're getting a few new faces again. If you are new, we're the NFT Film Squad. We've been holding Wednesdays every week for a year now, and basically trailblazing this ecosystem for filmmakers and being here as a support system and a destination point as a community, to keep sharing all the very, very fast moving information, especially now. This last month has been extraordinary. Um, and you can find our Discord in my link tree, and you can join there. And it's getting more and more active, and that's a lot of fun to be able to connect with you guys more there during the week. What else? We also have now, we've expanded. We have Mondays with Miguel from 1 to 3 Eastern. And then we have the Saturday matinee with Jason Charnick at 2 p.m. Eastern. And in a couple of weeks, we are celebrating Miguel's drop here on March 2nd. And then on March 9th, we have Machen and Mick from Riverdale and the film that she directed that they're going to be dropping. And they're going to be spotlighting mental health and activism. So we got some cool stuff lined up on Wednesdays coming. And yeah, psyched to see you guys. So, hi, Erica, how are you?
Good. Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, cool. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm doing an experiment of I'm driving. I live in sort of remote Arizona, and I'm driving down a mountain to the dentist. And like you said, this the space moves so fast that I thought I'd experiment with chilling with you guys while driving. But anyway, I just wanted to say, Jordan, I'm so glad you're. Oh my God, I'm literally. I had to clear my ears; they were popping. I'm really, really glad you're doing all this great work for film and filmmakers in the space. And yeah, I'm new to you. I think I found you just like 2 weeks ago or so, and I just wanted to hear a little bit about like you as a filmmaker and just if you're open to it, if that's.
Sorry, I don't think I got that whole question. You want to hear a little bit about? I see
About
this coming
you,
through.
Jordan. I think that was, can you please give us a fabulous intro to yourself?
Oh man, didn't everybody hear enough about me like the last 6 weeks? Okay, Erica, I'll do it. I hope you're not rugged, because your mic is still on. And but anyway, hi everybody. I will actually pen something up there. Maybe Sophie can do me a favor while I'm talking. So my name is Jordan Bayne. I started out as an actor in New York, and quickly realized that there were not very many interesting parts being written for women. And so I started to sort of move out into the writing, and started writing some short films, thinking that I might write them for myself, but then realized that once I wrote them, that I wanted to direct them, and from there, wanting to direct them, I didn't want to be in front and behind the camera at the same time. I wanted to really focus on making sure that I was serving the story and not my ego. And so uh, I did that, and ultimately had my last short film do an Oscar run. And, in many ways, people would have considered it a calling card, especially having been an Oscar contender. But I found that as a woman, that the doors were still gated. While there was a lot of performative conversation around it, no doors were being opened to me in the same way as they were to a lot of my colleagues who happened to be white men. So, and I know that that this is not unusual. It was just systemic. So I kind of threw myself into writing my feature films, which I have a few of, instead of doing another short film. Because if anyone knows, doing a short film can really feel as hefty as structurally as, or putting together as a feature. And I wanted to focus on features. And once again, I found sort of a lot of obstacles. So um, while I have now like a couple of features that are packaged with A-list Spanish talent, they've been on the back burner during the pandemic. And then I found, I'd been in crypto since 2015, and I found that when I paid attention to NFTs, which is around December 2020, I realized, oh my God, this is going to be amazing as filmmakers. I don't know how yet, but it's going to be. And so I started figuring out, how, first of all, to elevate women and other underrepresented communities in the space. Trying to make sure that there was a piece of the pie for everyone. And then from there, started the film squad. And then at some point after, um, almost a year, I guess it had been, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 months, I finally realized the piece that I wanted to mint. I minted that. It's called Red Flags. I got an incredible collector. I would have had an incredible collector if Miguel had won, because he did bid on it. And then I would have had an incredible collector if the community with their party bid. I mean, basically, I would have had an incredible collector anyway, because I had 3 incredible bids. But Claire Silver ended up picking it up, and I feel super grateful to be in her collection. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that my mission right now is, first of all, to follow now in Julie and Miguel's footsteps with figuring out strategically how I'm going to roll out my feature film as well, the one that's packaged, and learning a lot from those guys. But my greater mission is still creating a community where we all prosper together, and we all get a piece of the pie. And so that's really the impetus and the intention behind the NFT Filmmaker Squad is, to to quote that thing that sometimes sounds like political, stronger together. But it's sort of like, again, that's that a rising tide floats all boats. So as each of us kind of innovates and keeps moving forward in this space, you move all of us forward. So that's kind of where I'm at. And how was that, Sophie? Was that like a lot?
That was perfect. I mean, I don't think any of us ever get enough of Jordan and your bio and your story. But it's genuinely it's a good like reminder to go back and remember, like, why are we here? What are we doing this for? What is the potential of this space in comparison to the current system? Huge, right? And the difference is amazing. So I yeah, that's it's worthwhile taking a minute just to zoom back, zoom out, and then realize how far we've come and how much this space is going to facilitate people who weren't platformed and weren't prioritized by the old system, right? So I think it's totally worth hearing you out and hearing your
Oh,
full story.
Thank you. I started to be like, am I just like meandering? But yeah, there's a lot there, and especially with my intention of, uh, seeing. I mean, again, just like amplifying all of us as filmmakers, and whatever I can offer. Um, without, again, it's like all of us need to offer. We don't need to offer, how do I want to say this? Offering without compromising your own artistry, right? So, making sure you still prioritize yourself, but at the same time, really, I will always quote Ava DuVernay: if your dream uh, doesn't include others, it's not big enough. That is like my favorite quote these days, and so that is the quote that the NFT Filmmaker Squad is founded on. Um, Hi guys, if you're new, we are the filmmaker, the NFT Filmmaker Squad. Now you know who I am. There's a whole bunch of us, and some people are here and some people aren't. But we've been running rooms every Wednesday for a year, and we have Mondays with Miguel now and a Saturday matinee, and we're here to really talk about anything today. This is like a family meeting. We're here to celebrate. Miguel's got his drop coming in a couple of weeks, and yesterday, I don't see it pinned quite yet. Yesterday, he did a stealth drop of a one of one that's going to go to his, I guess, his major collector. He can tell us more about that again in a minute. I see a couple new other people. I know Film Frico, you got some cool stuff going on. You wanna share?
Wait, Jordan, sorry, I
Wait,
didn't
Miguel,
got you.
are you rugged?
No, no, no. Hi, I'm here. It's just that I didn't pin it yet because I wanted it to be like a thing when I pinned it, live.
Okay, okay, I
But I
love
think I
that.
was waiting.
Do you want to pin it
uh,
now and then we go to Film
yeah,
Frico, or do you want? Okay, let's do that.
that's
All
what I'm
right.
gonna do.
Okay.
There we go.
I love this.
There you have it.
This is like
My
family
Genesis
stuff.
NFT.
The Genesis NFT is awesome. Look at that. That's great. Oh my God. All right, everybody. Let's take a second, and if those of you who want to go watch this little stealth drop of his Genesis, of Miguel's Genesis, and go do that. And we'll come back around. We'll have Miguel tell you what it's about right now, and then we'll come back around again and have him explain it. So, Miguel, for those who weren't in the room, you want to tell them what this is?
Yeah, sure. So this is a 4-minute film that I created specifically for the Calladita art collection. I'm sorry, for the Calladita NFT collection, which is our collection that we're dropping on March 2nd to finance my feature film, Calladita. And so this 4-minute film is happens in the same world of the feature and features the same protagonist, Anna, played by Paula Grimaldo. And so we made this piece as a standalone one of one that will be gifted to the main backer of the whole collection. So it's like the pinnacle of that collection. And it's a 4-minute film. I recommend anyone to watch it with the sound on because it's beautifully scored by the same composer who's doing the feature film, which Paula Olaf is an amazing composer from Spain. And yeah, that's kind of about it. I don't want to say too much because I like people to enjoy it without knowing. Hello, am I wrapped?
No, I think we're all just taking a moment to go watch Miguel because we all want to go see it.
Also, that's
Also,
brilliant.
yeah. So yes, those of you who want to go see it, please do. So and I'm going to go to Film Frico right now. The Unigens, I see your hand is up. Film Frico, while we got some chatter here. Let's go. I know you got some chatter.
Hey, Jordan, thank you so much. Yeah, well, by the way, thank you so much for giving us these spaces. It's amazing. Mm, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Luis. Well, Film Frico here. I'm a Colombian filmmaker. And yesterday, or a couple of days ago, I announced that I'll be minting my first short film on the blockchain. Details are still to be announced, but I'm minting my first short film, Elena, which is I like to think about it as a metaphysic fantasy inspired on the genre that was created, I think, by oh, I forgot this director's name, but never mind. I say it later. Mm, so I was inspired by the work you guys are doing, you, Jordan, Miguel, Julie. I've been working on a project, a big project for the past few months that was intended to be my first project in the blockchain, which is called Ecos. But it's a much bigger project, so I decided, inspired by all the work you guys are putting out there, all the amazing pieces you are minting, and the community that is being built here. I wanted to jump in right away and decided to create Helena as my first mint. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to let you guys know that I'll be having a private screening on Beam. Beam, it's at Beam XYZ. If you guys don't know it, it's an amazing platform where you can basically screen your film, chat with the people. It's like a Twitter Spaces kind of, but for film, you know. So I think it's amazing. So I decided to have a private screening there. We're gonna have it on this Friday at 2 p.m. ES, and nothing. I would just love to have every single one of you over there share with you Elena, which for me it's a beautiful, beautiful film, a beautiful story, a celebration of life. It is starred by two amazing actresses. Well, I'll tell you about them on the screening. But it's a beautiful, beautiful film. I would love to share it with you on that day.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Please,
sure, sure.
I have a question. We love Beam, by the way. They were here last Wednesday along with Blockbuster Dow talking about distribution. And I think Miguel did a screening with Beam last week with Blockbuster, and they're on the Beam platform of Calarita. And I actually will be doing a couple things with them in the near future. So
Yeah.
they're awesome. They are awesome. So my question is, where are you going to be actually doing it at Beam? And doing the AMA at Beam? Okay, yeah, it's totally awesome.
The idea is to make a screening, a private screening for the ones that subscribe for it, and afterwards we can make a short or long. I have enough time. AMA to, I don't know, chat about the film. Anything you guys want to know or anything.
So what time is that again? Did you say PST, Pacific?
No, it's 2 p.m. EST.
Eastern. Okay. 2 p.m. Eastern on Friday. And you already posted
Friday,
it in the Discord?
I literally just posted it on Twitter, and I'm gonna start posting it everywhere as of right now. So I just wanted to add. On top of that, I'm planning to mint 3 NFTs pre-launch of Elena, and those NFTs are gonna be free to claim. You may think it's kind of a Pope, but it's not, because it's gonna have some sort of utility in the future. So I'm gonna be minting 3 NFTs. The first of them is gonna be minted for free for the people that go to that screening. It's gonna be it's a beautiful piece that I just finished, and that's it. It's gonna be 3 amazing mystery NFTs with unused footage from the short film. And that's it. I hope I can see you all there on Friday.
Ay, enhorabuena. I have put the tweet, your tweet up here. So if anybody wants to know more about the screening and the screening time, you can go at the top here and check out Luis's tweet that talks about Elena. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. We're super excited.
Thank you so much for giving me the space to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm really, really psyched for you. That's very, very cool. So I'm going to go on to Unigens.
Hey, hi. This is Unigens. That's the name of our project. Jordan, thanks for having me. I've been in this space, I think, once before, and I am, we're a project that has sort of sort of has film at like the heart of it, and we're sort of billing ourselves as more like a transmedia project, kind of trying to tell, story is the heart of our project, the heart of our product, I guess. But I got into an interesting conversation with a film friend of mine who's also trying to use the Web3 space to tell stories, to make films, et cetera, et cetera. And I think there's a lot of use cases for NFTs as a crowdfunding or a crowdsourcing sort of like tool to raise money to finance your film, your project, whatever it is. Maybe you're doing an indie video game, but specifically with film, we're still sort of married to like traditional distribution models. And I just don't know where we go. Like, say your project fucking goes off the rails, you sell out, you have money to make your feature, everything's going well, but how do you either A, have to rely on traditional distribution models to get your film out there. I mean, there are a few like meta like cinemas, I guess. I just don't really see how that's very much different than just putting it on Vimeo. I'm struggling with that part, and I think traditionally film and Hollywood specifically is a legacy media like conglomerate sort of system, and they are very reluctant to change the way anything works. And I don't know, again, you guys have you've been talking longer than I have in this space. I don't know, are there solutions for distribution? Because that's typically where indie film projects go to die. We sell off our IP.
So true.
We don't make any money, and that's the end. And we're making less and less money. Our labor has been devalued more and more, and our products are worth less and less. And that's just sort of the reality. So I'm just curious if you guys have had any discussions around distribution.
Well, last week, that's all we talked about. And it's recorded.
And I would love to listen to that.
Yeah, you can actually find it if you scroll down my my Twitter feed. You'll find it. But also, I sometimes it's tough to be like a one person like dog and pony show, which is what I am. But that's the indie filmmaker life, right? So at some point, very soon, you're going to be able to find them in the Discord because they're going to be living on my website, so that I'll be able to share them in a channel in the Discord. So it'll be very easy for people to be like, oh, they talked about distribution, and they don't have to scroll down my feed. So anyway, but to your point, that was a fantastic conversation, probably one of the best that we've ever had, and we've had, over, I don't know, 100, maybe not 100, maybe around 100 conversations at this point, just with pop-ups and panels and things like that. Not just on distribution, but just on innovating in this space, right? So one of the things, and I'm going to have Miguel jump in here in a second, because he's really, leading in a very innovative way and with his unique project. But last year we had Johnny Kaplan. And so one of the things that Johnny Kaplan did with NFT Me, his TV series, is you're right. He had already set it up with traditional legacy a distribution model. He did the crowdfunding through the NFTs by doing 3 different tokens, and one of them was at 5 ETH, 10 ETH, and 25 ETH. They each had different utilities, but what they all got was a 5-year profit sharing opportunity with the way his deal is structured. He also already had legacy distribution things in place because he's he has Tech Talk, and he had some work out there, television series out there already. So he had people he could go to around the world and sell it. So yes, the question you have has been sort of approached in different ways. There are other people that are, as far as like, let's say a short film. Well, actually, I'll just speak to mine. Red Flags is a one of one. I decided to keep my IP, and do we ever make money? As you just rightfully said, and one of the reasons I got into NFTs so hard was because from the time I started in this business, we have been squeezed out of any economic sustainability, way to live sustainably as a team, as not just directors, as cinematographers and gaffers and everybody on the team, like down to nothing. So with Red Flags, I decided, I want to keep my IP. I will do the festival route, but I did have a collector come in. Did that collector actually cover the cost? Did I recoup? No. Did that matter at this point? No, because somebody's going to do a short film and they're going to recoup on the NFT world. Miguel, I'd like for you to speak a second about like how you are moving through, because I know that you were also, I think, hybrid a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Can I just say, I think not only someone's gonna recoup, there's gonna be millionaire filmmakers making 2-minute short films and selling them
Yes.
for millions on Christie's. You know,
Yes.
if generative art is doing it, and if digital artists are doing it, why not filmmakers? So that's one thing that I wanted to say. But then the other thing, so for Calladita, our initial plan is to do more of a traditional distribution model. And in our case, it's a feature film, so it's a bit different than a short film, because we all know that with short films, it's impossible almost to make money, right? Like my short film was picked up by HBO. Of course, I didn't recoup. Jordan's short film was shortlisted for an Oscar. I'm sure you spent more money with the Oscar campaign than you ever made with the short film. So yeah, short films is a no-go in the traditional distribution models in order to recoup. But for features, yeah, we're doing. I always say I don't want my political or moral stance on how I would like the film distribution ecosystem to look get in the way of my film being seen by as many eyeballs as possible and by the best audience possible. So, hopefully we'll get to some big festivals to start a run, then we'll sell to different territories, just, the traditional way of distributing an art house Spanish film. And then if along that way there is an option to do Web3 distribution that is parallel to all of this and that works, that would be amazing. And we're going to be on the lookout for how that landscape looks in a year. I'm excited about that for sure.
Yeah. No, that's I also have thoughts on distribution and how to make your money back. And unfortunately, I think you have to build. So we're sort of the Unigens project is more of like a transmedia, multimedia thing. Because I mean, the reality is when we go to Mint, we may not sell 100%. We may only sell out 50% or 20%, and that may not give us the capital to make the film that we want to make. So how do we tell the story, right? So we've thought of many other ways to like tell the story, but I think the way we're set up with our, I by day I work as a producer. I'm a line producer. I work mostly in commercials. I do indies and stuff. I don't ever make money in indies, but other than my day rate. But yeah, so I think you just have to imagine your film as a loss. Like, I feel like you have to create a business model where the film is part of a budget that you're going to blow and you're not going to make that money back. And you make that money back through different revenue streams. The same way Hollywood makes money through merchandising and licensing and all that stuff, right? So our idea is that, when we make our money, however much we make, 30% or 20% or whatever we decide, we're trying to move at 30% of our capital is allocated to production. That's what we have. That's all we have. And if that doesn't equal a movie or a short film, it could equal an AR experience. It could be a short indie game. And, the thing is like, I feel like I like to consider myself like a true indie filmmaker, like a purist at the heart of it. But again, with the amount of streamers and, legacy companies gobbling each other up, like, I just don't think, there's a lot of space for us, and I think we have to like, unfortunately do what they do and we have to find new revenue streams, and indie filmmakers do that all the time, but I think, our whole sort of business plan is situated on, again, the story is the product, and we want to decentralize fandom. We want to have fans own part of the IP, and by buying into the project, you're owning a piece of the IP, and it's almost like, and as the sort of brand, quote unquote, accrues value, if it does, your purchase, your NFT should also accrue value in that same way. We can't promise, money on the back end. I just don't feel like that's the way it really is going to work for a lot of these projects. I think a lot of filmmakers who are like, oh, you buy the NFT, you're buying, some piece of like the income that you're making off the film. But the truth is the film probably won't make any money. And then it feels a little bit like a rug pull to me when I hear a lot of these. I'm like, these people aren't going to make their money back. And these investors are going to be out in the lurch. So I'm like, how do you create real economic prosperity for people who are buying into your IP? And I feel like it's other revenue streams, because films just historically have been a bad investment. Like indie film, and I've heard it before. You guys have heard it before. It's like the quickest way to lose your money is to invest in an indie film. So I am, we're thinking about different ways to make money with our project and different revenue streams and so on and so forth. But anyways, I feel like I'm monopolizing this, but I love coming in and talking to you guys, and that's all.
Nothing. No. In fact, yeah, I was going to say, Miguel, in fact, I think that I love hearing how you're trying to innovate in this space. Yes, we all know that independent films rarely make their money back. And we all know that, like, I'm like you, I've been a purist, but I will say that I have sacrificed maybe too much to be a purist. And that's just I don't know. I don't know if it's just in my DNA or whatever, but I do see that the whole NFT ecosystem and Web3 is giving us an opportunity. When you hear Blockbuster DAO talk about what they are trying to do as far as the way they're trying to innovate a financing model for filmmakers, I think when you go back and you listen to what we talked about last week, I think they're exciting things. I think we barely scratched the surface. I think we have to watch out for rug pulls, absolutely, and cash grabs and all of that. And I do believe that people are going to come in and innovate in ways that we haven't thought of yet. Miguel, I see your hand up. I have a feeling it has something to do with Unigens. And Mayo, I do see you. Give me 1 second. Miguel?
Yeah, yeah, I wanted to address that because that's kind of our model. We're sharing the revenue of the film, and I don't agree at all with Unigen's points, and I want to address that first because I think that calling that like a rug pull is using a strong term that I don't think applies, because a rug pull would be when you're not being upfront with what you're doing, or you're kind of lying, whereas we're saying that, or any project that's doing the same is saying that they're going to share the revenue. Of course, you can't promise a number of that, what that will be, or you can't promise that it's going to be a good investment. And in any case, you're legally not allowed to sell any of these as investments. So in any case, that's not what we're doing. But on the other hand, I also wanted to point out a few things. The first one is that traditionally, indie films haven't been a good investment because you have to make all of your money back and then some in order for it to be profitable. But in this case, it's different because, first of all, so if the Kairita collection sells out and I get all the money to make the film, the second the film starts to go out there, every dollar that comes in to the production company from the distribution is already profit, because there's no investors to pay back. The investors to pay back are the NFT holders, and so every dollar is already going directly into them via the DAO. So, but the difference is that whereas a normal investor wouldn't have anything to show for the investment except for the whole money that has to go back to them, and then it has to go back 100% and then some to get them into profit. In NFTs, you already have the asset that is the NFT. And so you could think that maybe if the film is successful artistically or in festivals or reputationally, the NFT will at least hold some of the value or even maybe go up in value. Like, imagine there are a lot of indie films that have been big flops, but have gone to popular culture. And for example, a film like Heaven's Gate, which is kind of famous for having fucked up the whole studio system and flopped tremendously in the box office. If you had an NFT to show that you were a pioneer supporter of Heaven's Gate, and you still kept it 40 years later, that could be invaluable. So your investment is kind of has a collateral that is kind of a remnant value that is not lost. And then on the other hand, all the revenues come on top of that, if there are any. And also, indie film is difficult to monetize. First of all, because of the shitty traditional Web2 distribution models that we're trying to target, and I'm very bullish that Web3 will change those power dynamics, and we will get a lot more of the revenues that are coming from our creations. And also, on the other hand, because they are financed in weird ways. So if the indie films that get made are the ones that are able to harness the power of community and bring a whole community together to finance them, then I think they stand a good chance of being successful films also in their distribution, because the teams have proven that they can get people excited for that project. So if they can get people excited for something that doesn't even exist because it's only an idea in the mind of a filmmaker, then hopefully they will be able to also get them excited to watch the film once it's out there, and hence, make the film profitable.
Oh my God,
Sure.
I love that. Unigens, you speak, and I just want to, you go ahead, but I just want to say, Mayo, I see you. Lightning, I see you. Susie, I see you.
This is my this will be it. But the only thing I will retort with is rug pull is a little harsh. I agree, but I think what I meant by that is there is such a rabid base of hungry young people investing in NFTs and not knowing what they're actually buying, that by saying, I feel like the difference is with indie film, you're hoping to find people who have invested in the space, understand how it works, and understand the likelihood of making their money back, as opposed to like this sort of crazy speculation of, we're living in a sort of large speculative bubble, not bubble, but like NFTs are growing very rapidly and people don't really know exactly how to use them yet. We're all trying to make sense of it. So I just feel like there's a bit of smoke and mirrors, I guess, around what people are buying. And if you're saying, oh, buy this NFT, it's going to finance this film and this and that. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing it. I'm just saying that, like, typically people who invest in film have a background in it. And I think a lot of people who are buying NFTs with sort of, quote unquote film projects attached to them, they're buying the hype. And I don't know that it is that they're buying what they think they're buying. And that's all I'm going to say. Miguel, I don't disagree with a lot of the points that you're making. I consider myself like a purist when it comes to indie film. I wish they all made money. I wish we had more of them. But, maybe NFTs will allow that to happen. But I digress. I've taken up too much time. I'll just listen now.
No, that's not too much time. That's a great conversation. In fact, by you bringing that up and giving us your perspective on it, then I was able to hear Miguel break it down. So his project down even better in a maybe in a different way than he said it to me before. So all of that is very valuable, and I really appreciate that. Mayo, did you want to speak to this, or did you want to speak to something else?
No, it's in regards to this.
Yeah, go ahead. Welcome.
Yeah. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I think kind of what I wanted to talk about was, like entering this space. You guys have to be like kind of really careful in the dialogue and the vocab you're using for the people that are buying these NFTs. I think it's like, it's okay to say like, hey, this is going to quote unquote finance this film, but like any kind of dialogue in terms of like profit sharing or promise of like money, like they're gonna label you as a security, right? And when the regulators come down on the space, they're gonna come down with a hammer. And this is dialogue I've heard in a lot of the film rooms, so they're gonna know that this is the space that they should definitely focus on, other than like, of course, like the PFP areas, right? I think it should be kind of looked at more as like a donation rather than like an investment, right? Because just like how you guys were saying, most indie films are not profitable, right? So I don't think just because you're creating an NFT, you should now like change the dialogue of that, right? It's you're going to be putting yourself in an even tougher spot outside of um, trying to even make the film profitable when the SEC now comes in and says, hey, you sold the illegal security, right? And that's one thing I just have to mention, because anytime you're promising profits and somebody's buying something and they don't have to do anything to get those profits or to increase the value, that's like the actual literal definition of a security, right? So I just kind of want people in the film space to, have success in here, right? You guys deserve it. You guys have, been building, you know, for decades, right? And so the last thing I want to see is that, you guys create a dope project and then they come in and scrap it and delist it because they label it as a security, right? So I mean, that's just kind of what I wanted to mention. I've just been hearing it a lot in the film rooms, and I just don't want people to leave these discussions thinking that, they can raise the project and like pay people out based on who invested in it, right? Giving them access to private showings, to the movie, to the film, or the access to be an extra in the film, different things like that, that's okay, right? But to actually promise money based on how the film will perform, that's definitely when you start moving into a different area.
Yeah, we thank you, Mayo, for that. I appreciate that. Sort of, it's like remembering to be a little bit more careful with the words. I brought up investing when I said Johnny Kaplan's project, and Johnny Kaplan brought that up because he's using a traditional model, and that he is within that working. He's also UK based, so he doesn't have to be as concerned with securities as someone who's US based. So there's that.
But
But secondly, and then there's Jennifer Esposito's project that she absolutely was calling what she was doing in her film financing deck securities. So there are some people who are using that and talking about profit sharing and stuff like that. Other people are far more careful with those words, and I don't hear. And I've run. I mean, we've been running this room for a year. I rarely hear people telling in this room and any of our NFT film squad rooms, people saying you're going to make a profit. I don't know what film rooms you're like hanging out in, but that's not something that we're saying. We are saying though that here's some utilities and here's some cool things as a community that we can do together. I know that we've had filmmakers come in here and say there are a lot of words that I can't use, and so we're not going to use. So I think that your warning is absolutely 100% to be heeded, because I do think the SEC is going to, eventually decide where they want us to be, as long as they can figure out how much money that they can take off our backs. And then and then yeah, there's going to be changes. But I mean, I've been in crypto for a very long time, and I've been hearing this SEC stuff for a long time, and we're innovating.
Yeah.
I,
I
yeah, go
guess,
ahead.
yeah, no, I guess just to follow up, I wasn't specifically talking to this room. I'm just saying, I've like, heard, when I'm hearing people talk about profit sharing, and the thing is that that's a myth. Like, I don't want people to think just because they aren't US based, they aren't subject to those rules. Like, if you sell to a US customer, there's no difference between you being in the UK versus you being a US company, right? When you sell that asset to US citizens, the US government doesn't care where you're domiciled, right? They're going to come after you the same. So that's why I kind of want people to like kind of like understand the full grasp of the situation. And this is, again, this is not me saying that, like, trying to deter people. I want to see people innovate. I want to see people do well. I want to see people create new things. This is like me speaking from personal experience of working with a company that did an ICO, and the SEC took like what, it was like 3-4 years, and they still came and got them, right? So it's like they have unlimited time to do this. Like, don't think just because they haven't come like they're not coming. They have a huge budget and unlimited time. So that's just kind of what I want to put out there. And like I mentioned, man, I really hope the best for everybody in the space. I just actually want to see you guys do well and not be stopped in the future, if that makes sense.
I appreciate that because you're coming from a place of experience, and yeah, I do think that for the most part we've been careful, but
Good.
because again, it's like, and I see you, Miguel, and I know you've got lawyers and all sorts of people around your
Yeah,
project.
can I just briefly explain how we're doing it so that if people are interested, they might know like a middle ground that is legal and possible?
Yes, 100%. And then Lightning, I see you, and Sophie, I see you, and Petra, I see you, and well, Susie, your hand keeps going down. So I think it goes Susie, Lightning, Sophie, Petra after Miguel.
Great. Sorry, I'll be brief. So what Mayu is saying is 100% correct. You can't ask people to invest in your film. You can't call them investors. You can't promise them a share of the profits. You can't say they're gonna become rich by backing your film or any of that. One way, however, as creators and as Web3 native people, we always look for ways in which we can return the value to the people that helped us make the project. So one way that we've devised, and we've talked this to with confirmed with 3 different law firms from 3 different countries that this is fine, and we actually have a meeting with the Spanish SEC regulator next week in order to reconfirm that this is fine. Is that what we're gonna do? Is that we're gonna set up a DAO once the film is finished, and the production company is gonna transfer 50% of the revenues of the film in perpetuity to that DAO, and at that point, all of the NFT tokens are gonna become DAO tokens, granting the holders a governance right over that DAO treasury. So it's not really an economical right that they're going to have, and they're never going to be able to retrieve the funds from the DAO into their own pockets, but at least they get to decide on what is done with that revenue. And so one thing that could happen is that at some point in the future, it becomes possible because the regulation changes and they can actually redeem the funds from the DAO. Or another thing that could happen is, the DAO becomes a sort of small indie studio out of Spain, and the DAO holders decide we want to back your second film, or we want to back a different film from another indie filmmaker that we're excited about. So at least that's a way in which people know that the money from the film is not going to go into my pockets and make me rich, but it's going to go towards a DAO that they will all collectively own. And even there's ways in which they can kind of return the money to themselves without doing it. For example, because they all hold NFTs, they could vote on the DAO to use those funds to buy up the floor, for example. So they can provide extra liquidity for themselves via the revenues that the film generated. So there are kind of intricate ways in which this could work, but I agree that it's not exactly that they're getting the revenue out of the film, because that's illegal.
Oh my God, Miguel, I'm always learning. I know you've said this to me like 5 times, but I'm starting to get it, and that's really fun. And thank you so much.
Yeah, that's fire. Thank you guys for letting me come up, man. I'll move on down. Thank you.
No, you're good, Mayo. And that was such a great conversation. And it brings a lot of value to the room. So thank you so much. Susie, your hand was up. I know Sophie's got to say goodbye. Sophie?
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan. I got to jump, but this was actually such a great conversation. I love, I love that we're talking about like words as well, like the word invest, because for me that is what this space is about. But like investing in artists and in people and in vision, and I feel like it's really fun to me for us to be sort of picking that apart. So thank you for the conversation. I'm sorry I have to leave. Continue. I will see you all next week.
You can always come back and listen to the second half of the recording.
Oh, you
Uh,
bet.
all right, Susie, I know that your hand and then Lightning and Petra.
Hey, how are you?
We're good. We're good.
Good. Yeah, I know my hand was popping up and down. I always feel like I'm being really rude when I keep my hand up when others are speaking. It just feels rude to me, so that's why I pop it down. Um,
Okay,
but
wait, Susie. I just have to say, from a moderator point of view, it can get really confusing.
oh,
So
got it. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, as a moderator, what I usually do, and I know everybody's different, is as soon as I see the hands go up, I write it down on a list, and then I just go from there. But I recognize everybody's different, so I'll keep that in mind when I'm in this space. Um, Real quick, I have some thoughts on what we were just talking about, but Miguel, can I just go back to if I could get some more clarification around the DAOs and how people are getting the tokens and how they're using those tokens as a vehicle to vote?
Of course, yeah. So it's pretty simple. In my case, in my film, there are 4 different tiers in the collection that are all different prices. And essentially, all of those NFTs from the collection that you bought to support the film are the ones that are going to turn into DAO tokens. So if you have a tier 1 NFT that's going to represent a certain percentage, I think it's like 0.05% of the total budget of the campaign. And so you're going to get that percentual vote. If you have 5 tier 2 NFTs, then you're going to get those proportionate voting powers, essentially. So it's very simple. It's through the NFT. There's no additional token.
Gotcha. So are you saying that those who have the quote unquote most power or have the most votes are the ones who have invested the most money?
Yes. So essentially, it's like, I mean, I don't want to call it that because that's exactly what we're trying to avoid. But essentially, it's like you own shares of a company. So, you vote depending on how many shares you hold. But again, I say that quote unquote.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm glad we're having this conversation because that's something I've been seeing a lot in DAOs and that I've been seeing as it's something that we're trying to move away from. I think there's some really interesting ways like quadratic voting or other things that people could look into. But I recognize how, because then things start to happen with, I think the spirit of decentralization and moving forward with power versus power over, it then allows people who may not fully align with your values or your film's community's values to come in and have a stronger voice. And so I recognize that people are starting that way, but I really want to encourage us to have more conversations around this to figure out other ways that people could vote. So thank you, Miguel, for clarifying that for me.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great point. Sorry, I want to say very quickly, that's a great point, and I think it's very valuable for other types of DAOs that are doing other types of things. In my case, though, the DAO's only purpose is to govern over a treasury. So to me, it makes sense that the voting powers are tied to how much of that treasury you helped accomplish, if that makes sense. Because that's kind of the only reason for the DAO to exist is so that they can vote on what is done with those funds.
No, I hear you. I think what's happening and what I'm seeing is even if it's just over a treasury, if I'm a whale, for instance, and that's a term, like that people use, it's like I have a lot of money and I come in, I may not be aligned with your community. So let's say Jordan puts together a DAO and I might not be aligned with the vision that Jordan has, but for whatever reason, I wanted to buy in. I can buy the top tier. And now I know I can essentially use Jordan and her talents and her team to produce things that I want produced because I have the most power, because I have the most votes. And I think that's the risk that could happen. Hopefully people are coming in with good intentions, but recognizing that isn't always the case. That people are extractive or can be extractive. I think that's something it would be really interesting to dig into it.
I love when you get on stage in these rooms that I'm in because you bring such great points. And I have to say that when I started to try to create a DAO, and there's a pin in it. It's not going anywhere. Maverick DAO is what it's called. And in July or June, I started to write the whole white paper in July, and in August, these were the questions. This is the exact question that became really pertinent. It's like, okay, so how are the votes? How are we gonna, the governance and the votes over the treasury and the vaults and just whatever we have as a DAO? And it did become a concern. What if someone comes in and they're like they bring in so much currency or whatever, that they're able to buy up so many votes that they drown out the voices of the rest of the community that might not have as big of bags. And that is why that is probably the main reason why we put a pin in the DAO at this point, until, because I was seeing what you're seeing, until we can sort that out. I think that one of the things, and I love this conversation. I also think that one of the cool things about what Miguel's doing is that he's been able to, get so many professionals around him to offer advice from, a lot of people in this ecosystem, as well as lawyers and accountants and whatnot. That I'm very curious to see how obviously this plays out over the next few years for him, because I really love this idea. It's something that I know that I will also be pursuing in some way around my feature film as well. Miguel, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I think Susie brings a great point, and especially when the DAO is given any sort of creative powers, like something similar to kind of what Julie is doing and also what NFT studios are kind of planning, then definitely there should be ways in which the voting rights aren't solely based on economic, participation beforehand. Because, for example, because even as I was saying what I said to Julie, I thought that there was a caveat to that I wasn't considering. Because I said, because they are voting on what is done with the revenue of the film, it makes sense for the people who helped more to get the film made to have more power, more voting power over that. But then as I was saying that, I realized, well, we always talk about micro actions here, and in a way, how can you value that, right? Like, what if someone only has a tier 1 NFT because that's all they could afford, but they have been retweeting all of my tweets like crazy, and there's a whale that bought 4 tier 2 NFTs because they saw those retweets, right? So you never can tell. So I kind of agree with Susie that it would be great to see other models implemented too.
Susie?
Yeah, no, I would, it's not my place, but I would love if we could have a conversation, in the next, whenever. I know Jordan and Miguel and whomever who run these, I think it would be really awesome for us to come back and bring in some examples of how we're seeing things done. For people who are interested in quadratic voting and how it's being done, one of the DAOs and it's just I think really interesting how they're looking at things in general with regards to public goods, because I really view that these stories and the stories that are being told, and how it can shift mindsets and hearts and culture should be a public good. If you look at Gitcoin, Gitcoin, they are, I've found, are really super thoughtful in how they're thinking about things. So I would just throw that out there. And secondly, before I forget, I had pinned to the top of the room the session on distribution. So that nobody else would have to go find it. So that's up there if people want to replay that. But yeah, it would be really cool for us, I think, to come back and bring some of these things that we're seeing and then have this conversation and really lead the way. And here's how things could be done that I think align with our values and the ethos of what Web3 could be. The other piece, I want to just say that, there has been a lot of talk in the space about DAOs, which are these decentralized autonomous organizations. And I think what's challenging about them is, at least with the narratives that I've been hearing, is that it's like, just get a multi-sig, which is a shared wallet, get some people and get going. And I think what people may not realize, and it seems like Miguel has the team around him to execute, is that these are very challenging and very expensive. I don't think people recognize all the different tools that you need to make a DAO work. Because, essentially you are bringing people together to coordinate around something. And so you need those coordination tools, and it's expensive in terms of, time and cost, and then figuring out the tokenomic structure of what you're up to. And the tokenomics is, I think, can be some of the most powerful and interesting things, and the opportunity is there. But I'm seeing things where we're undermining what actually is intrinsic to human nature through how we're rewarding and what we're rewarding. In Miguel's case, it is very much just around the treasury and here's how we're going to distribute funds, but thinking about how do we distribute, who gets a say in distributing it. So I just wanted to put that out there. Real quick, the other thing I think I've noticed is, the tool
of NFTs as a vehicle to either crowdfund or to maybe incentivize certain things. And
Okay,
one
wait,
thing,
Susie. Sorry,
Yep.
sorry. Can you just hold that thought? Because I know you're changing into another thought, and I'm going to come
Oh,
right back to you. No. I'm
sure.
going to come right back to you. It's just I want to do a quick reset on the room for
Okay,
anyone who just arrived, and also let
sure. It was
Lightning Petra.
pertaining to what was talked about before about distribution models and
Yep.
and raising funds, but I can absolutely wait, no problem.
Yeah, thanks. If you just arrived in, I'm just going to do a quick reset. This is NFT Filmmaker Squad, and you found us on our OG Wednesdays. We've been doing this for a year, chopping it up and trailblazing together as a community, the NFT space for filmmakers. If you want to come up, this is today what we're doing. We really are. This is more like an open discussion of what's been happening. We started with what's going on with Miguel and his piece in Variety yesterday, and Calerita, his film, his short film, which he is making into a feature. So that we will circle back because this is a crowdfunding type of thing, Susie. And then if you want to join our community, we do have a Discord. You can find that in my link tree. We're so psyched to see so many of you guys here. Because we've been growing, we have Mondays with Miguel at 1 p.m. Eastern. We have the Saturday matinee with Jason Charnick at 2 p.m. Because this world moves like lightning, and we want to stay ahead of the curve, especially as some of these big players and big money come in, and we've been the ones out here really doing the grassroots work. So so psyched that you guys are here. We have talked a little bit today about distribution. We have a great distribution recording from last week that's pinned to the top. Thank you again, Susie, for that. And we've been talking about DAOs, which we've actually talked about 6, 7, 8 months ago. But I think with what Susie's saying, that and the fact that things are very mutable and changing all the time, would be a great thing to circle back to in a few weeks and see where we're at. So thank you guys so much for being here. We love this community. We love building this community together. And Susie, I'm gonna throw it back at you.
Sure, yeah. So the one thing that I'm wondering about that I have some thoughts on, but would love to pose to people is I think one thing I've been hearing, and I'm and I'm learning so much from the space, so thank you, is that when you are an indie filmmaker, the likelihood that you are going to quote unquote make a profit or recoup the cost is very challenging. Is that accurate so far? Okay, I see 100. Okay, um, and I think somebody else had used this term of economic prosperity. What does that look like, and potentially could you do it through other revenue streams? Something that Jordan, you had said a while back around, how do we get funding to actually go out and shoot the film? So it's like front loading it. And I think, Jordan, you had quickly told us a little bit about red flags and had phenomenal collector, but even with that, it didn't mean that you recouped the cost that you had put into it. And so I'm really curious about what people think about, or any thoughts or experiments around front loading it. So what I mean by that is using a vehicle like Mirror, I think it's Mirror.xyz, for instance, to lay out a path, a narrative around what it is that you hope to do, what you want to accomplish, your dreams, and different ways that people can get involved not only in the team and maybe helping to, even support the film through time, knowledge, energy, but also through, I could buy these things, NFTs and whatnot, to actually be supporting that way. And so just curious about what people think about. I see Mirror as one tool. And the other thing I really like about it, which I was so bummed with red flags, was I think we thought it was going to be like this 5-day auction, but then once you kicked it off, the clock started 24 hours, and I literally was like, no, because I believe in Jordan and the film and the actors and the story so much that I was like, this cannot happen. And something like Mirror, for instance, and I'm sure there are other things out there, allow you to have more time to bring people together, to align with what your vision is, and then move forward in a way that feels good to them, whether it's buying something or time knowledge. Curious about what people think about that, because I do see this as a way to fund films before you actually have to even touch one piece of equipment. And then I see the world building aspect, the world that you're building through your film, as a way to then actually get back additional funds that can go into a community chest or towards your next filmmaking venture?
I mean, I love this. I have not had the opportunity to do a deep dive into Mirror yet.
But
And
sorry, but that's
yeah,
exactly what we're
Miguel,
doing.
I was about to say, but Miguel is front loading. Go on.
Sorry, no, that's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, Mirror is great, but it's kind of gated, so it doesn't allow anyone to fundraise via Mirror of more than 10 ETH or 20 ETH, I think it is. Because we were gonna do it to Mirror, but then we realized that it wouldn't work for us because we needed way more than the limit. So we created our own smart contracts on our own website to essentially do exactly what you're describing, Susie, which is selling NFTs from the world of the film, so that the sales of those NFTs will give us the necessary funds to make the film.
But without even having the NFTs needing to be made, for instance. So that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, because what you're doing is, I think, so spot on. It's so brilliant. But I also recognize there are filmmakers out there that are like, either don't have that skill or don't have people who can make these NFTs up front. And then either 100% of the cost of the NFT or a percentage of it goes back to the film.
Yeah,
and so
I agree. In our case, we were lucky because the short film already existed and that the film is based on. So we were able to use the short film in order to create the NFTs. But I think you just have to be very inventive and innovative. Like, for example, Julie, I don't think her collection costed her so much. She just got some actress friends of hers. She went to the location and they just shot stills of the rehearsals, and they are beautiful stills, and she managed to sell those as NFTs. But yeah, I agree. Like, if you were just to design a token that looks the same for everyone, it would be a lot more challenging. So yeah, definitely.
Because I saw one recently where it was over 12 ETH on Mirror. So I'm wondering if maybe they've heard from people like yourself who are like, no, you've got to allow us to be able to raise more funds.
What was over 12 ETH?
The one that I'm thinking about is the buy back my catalog campaign. It was a musician, and he had
for Mark.
Yeah,
We were very. I mean, he was one of our first guests here because he did a feature film put on Zora, and it was so big that he can never really stream very well. But he's such a great guy, and yeah, I'm so excited for him for that campaign. So I'm gonna just go down to Lightning really quickly, and then Petra and Sherry, because I love this conversation about Mirror. I love to talk about it, and also about like how do we front load, in a way. I mean, that was always the issue with Kickstarter. You always had to like create all of these like things that ended up costing so much to the filmmaker to like provide, and it took away from like what actually went into the frame of the film. So that's another conversation. I think that's a conversation, Susie. I think we can continue week to week as we sort of evolve in this world. Lightning, and then Petra, and then Sherry. Hey, Lightning.
Hello.
Good to be on stage with you again.
Hello, yeah, good. And thanks for having me on the panel. And Jordan, thanks so much for also hosting this panel. I've been there a couple of times and I learned so much. Like in just like half an hour, you learn a lot. And also, Miguel, what you do, I think it's really inspiring. Must be really hard to talk to the lawyer and get all the legal groundwork. So I think to kind of beat the drop, this will be incredibly inspiring. And so I want to say this, Miguel was talking about this way of appreciation of artistic value. And I mean, a film is kind of an interesting object because on the one side, it's an economic object and you expect like the people pay for it to see the movie. And on the other side, a film is a piece of art. Like as Unichen said, like every independent filmmaker should make money. And I think we all that are here in the room, we feel it that there is artistic value in it. And so maybe this has, if you have a museum, right, people would, maybe not pay that much to see the piece of art, but if you just look at the art market, people would like pay tons of money to own the piece of art. And I think this could be a huge opportunity for filmmakers and also especially for art house cinema. If, like NFT collectors and art collectors want to own this scene or still or movie as a piece of art, as Jordan did with the short film, I think just owning a short film as a piece of art can completely revolutionize this whole thing. I'm always a little bit optimistic, so I know myself, I'm always optimistic, but this is where I think NFTs can be really, really good by basically capturing this thing is a piece of art. Yeah.
I love that, and I just want to speak to that. Yes, it is. It's really been like what 3 weeks now for me to wrap my head around that someone actually owns, and they own it as like a real believer in NFTs, and also like the flex. I think also right there's the flex of that, which is so cool.
It's a flex of taste also.
Right? Yeah. And again, I'll say I had three amazing, like the community build, the party bid, which for me was really beautiful, and it showed me that the community really believed in me. And then I had Miguel, a filmmaker who I admire so much, putting in a bid and almost winning until Claire Silver, one of the OGs, came in and collected the piece. So it is. I do think that it can be changing, and I think we have to think also about this pandemic. How many people found their comfort, solace, entertainment through films and television during this pandemic. So it is art. What we do is art. There is no doubt. Every single person on my film, every crew member, it doesn't matter if they were the PA all the way up to my cinematographer. There is art in their like devotion in their heart, and also in how hard they work on their craft, and you can see that in every frame. So I'm with you on this.
Yeah, and and what I also saw when I started collecting NFTs, it completely changed my way of looking at art, because I was never a big art fan, I have to admit. And now that I'm in the NFT space, and my Twitter feed, of course, is just images and all of that, and they have a price and a value, and some people speculate on it. Maybe this sounds crazy, but it feels like my way of perceiving these images changed, and that they look a little bit like more beautiful, or I can see more the work behind it. And my hope is that maybe if this happens not only with digital art but also with film NFTs, that there will be like maybe a shift of mind to see the work that people put into this, because it is a lot of work making films.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man, for coming up.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump to Petra, who's been like as patient as you were, with their hand up. Hey, Petra.
Thank you. Hey.
Sorry, are you there? I think I rugged everybody.
Hello?
Did I rug everybody? Yeah, hey.
It's okay. Hey, yeah, there's so many things in there, right? I guess there's a lot of synergy between Web3 and ownership, right? Where this aligns around fractional ownership. And I had some thoughts around the time Miguel had brought up, the SEC and US customers, and I'm reminded today of the Farsi Canadian group that wasn't allowed to mint from POAP because of US sanctions on Iran, which is ridiculous and probably not well founded by POAP. And then we've got, mass adoption waves, beginning to happen in places like Walmart, and a lot of these PFP projects are really just based on the transactions that are going on, and that sort of starts to look like a loyalty rewards program, like Safeway card NFTs, if you will. Other spaces are doing like subscriptions, etc. I think Miguel's idea and in general the idea of DAOs as advisory boards to a treasury is like a new step. It's like an OG step. It stands in the face of these other kinds of messes that are being dumped on the market, and I think it's an important distinction. And I think that distinction is about layers of participation. So it's like, loyalty rewards program is about the centralized data analysts gathering information about your participation in a black box to the consumer, right? And when we begin to involve customer input, and let's look at it as mostly customer input, depending on how many layers there are between the holding of an NFT and the actual treasury. especially when we're talking about like this advisory role or voting role over a treasury. There's a big difference in the DAO space between being a member of a DAO through holding the token and, for example, being on the multi-sig contract. And as we ramp up in DAOs, you need to be mindful of the fact that, you know, if you are participating on that level, if you're starting one of these models as a sort of project, and you are ending up on the multi-sig and you're involving an advisory board as sort of like the idea that you're trying to form a corporate shield, you don't have a veil there, and it's direct participation when you sign on those Gnosis safes. But that is very different from signing on a proposal, for example, whether it's an ERC20 or an ERC721 or any of the wonderful things that are out there. But you know, when we get beyond that into economic participation, and that's like sort of the next step, I'm reminded, and I want to do a shout out because they're not here right now, but for my friend Kimani Okiara's model from Let Me Out Productions, which is really focused around these layers of participation, because there's a difference between economic participation and creative participation, but both of those can involve money, right? And value and exchanges of value. And so, you know, we try and delineate between like crowdsourcing, crowdfunding in those models, as well as, you know, and part of the key there is the receipt of a unique artistic work. So there's a lot of the reasons why generative art has been really productive. But I think as filmmakers, like every frame, how many seconds is 10,000 frames? Anyway, it's really about that layers of participation. And the other thing I think is that, you know, Kamani's model really does talk about fractionalized ownership of the IP, of the production process, of the distribution model, of the you know, creative rights over the decisions about what to do moving forward or through a creative process in development of new media. But there is another layer that is layer 0. And there are things in DAO Legos in various places, in blockchain Legos, where we're modularizing sort of legally recognizable language for all the law devs out there. But I think in our space as filmmakers, one of the most amazing things of the recent experience I had with the Filmmaker DAO, which is now kaput, unfortunately, it seems. But one of the amazing things that we got in that experience, I think, was the willingness of the unions to step forward into that space and say that they were interested in working with us. So the closer we are able to establish these sort of like, I don't want to say rules or laws or anything like that. I mean, look, code isn't really law, but in the absence of good law, we'll just have to rely on code. And but the closer we can get to some standard that would be interoperable of the union framework, I think we will gain allies there that will help us to leverage, you know, the technology against the constipation of our governments. But
Petra, I want to say yes. I want to jump on that and say the closer, because, you know, unions were really supposed to be for the people. So absolutely, I'm with you on that. And I also want to say, if anybody wants to hear about Kamani's thing and they missed it last week, he was part of the distribution panel and he explained it to us at least 5 times. I mean, in the Kamani very specific, beautiful way.
yeah, I mean, it's really deep. It's really deep. What Kamani has done is revolutionary. And I think, you know, the revolutionary idea about Web3 is that, you know, the growth of the whole derives from an alignment within the parts. And I hope, you know, that's that empowering with. It's about regenerative production. We need to build models that recognize the feedback loop and capitalize on it. Anyway, thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing that and sort of circling back. That's very, very cool. And I hope that you jump back in here, because I know that that's not going to be the last time we have this conversation. You know, as we keep moving forward, right? No, really, we've been having this conversation seriously, I think, since the first one a year ago, but it keeps changing because we keep evolving and more people keep coming in and innovating and really understanding. Like I told Kamani so many times when he first brought it to the film squad in June of 2021, I said, Kamani, it's just now people are starting to understand you, because we weren't prepared for what he was doing at that time, because he was that innovative, and it is really an incredible thing. So Cherry, I know that your hand's been up patiently. Give me 1 second just to reset the room, and then Tens, I see you. Hi everybody. If you're new to this space, we're the NFT Filmmaker Squad, and we've been holding rooms and spaces every Wednesday for a year now, at from 1 to 3 Eastern, and really pioneering the NFT filmmaking space together as a community. Really, trying to support one another and bring ideas and challenge one another and inspire one another. We also now have expanded to Mondays with Miguel from 1 to 3 Eastern as well. And we have Saturday Matinee with Jason Charnek at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So we can keep up with all of the fast-paced nature of the NFTs. If you want to join our community, we have a Discord, and there you can, reach out to people. I saw someone reaching out for an animator today. So if you're an animator, get in there, because somebody's looking for an animator. The other thing I want to say is right after we close out this room today, Miguel, in his Discord, is going to be having an AMA talking about what he's doing with his short film, Caladita, and the NFT drop for his feature film. So I encourage you all to migrate over there. And if you haven't seen the film, it's absolutely fantastic, and we're really excited about what he's doing. I think I've reset the room. Miguel, did I do
Thank you,
okay?
Jordan. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I just wanted to say that it's at 4 p.m., not 3 p.m. Eastern. So it's an hour
Yeah, yeah.
after we close the room.
Yeah. So it's 4 p.m. Thank you. And I think I've been resetting this room so much for so long, I sometimes forget. But I think that's it. Except for, I do want to say this. I always say this at some point. A lot of times, like when it came to dropping red flags, that was a high ticket item, right? It sold for 4 ETH. A lot of people don't have the bags to come in there and do something like that. I wouldn't have had the bag to buy my own film and collect that. But here's the thing, there are so many ways, and Miguel said it really nicely just a little while ago, talking about a DAO. What if someone just retweets? I mean, as community, we have some micro actions that we can really do for one another, and you never know how they compound. They can compound. So I suggest and encourage you guys to follow each other, to be there for each other as a community. We have so much we can give one another, so much value. Retweet, pin tweets, even right now today, if you see somebody's, because you just don't know what eyes that they might get that might change their life. So micro actions to me can be as big as a macro action. And with that, I'm going to throw it to Sherry, who's been super patient. It's good to see you, Sherry.
Great to be here. And I just want to start by saying I love this room. I say that all the time. Jordan, I found it during the summer. And I connect with everybody in this room. We're talking about things that matter to me. My issue is I found that spaces and Clubhouse, I get very nervous. It doesn't make any sense, but I get very nervous talking still in these spaces. And I think it was because I was shot down when I first joined Clubhouse, and I wasn't able to get my thoughts out. And then I was afraid to get back up on stage. So I thank you for this space and being able to speak openly. I do have a lot of experience in independent filmmaking. I've raised money for at least 5 projects. And I have been successful in getting distribution for 3 of our feature films. And I'm working currently on a series I created. And we're out there. I raised money to shoot the series, or to shoot the pilot, sorry. And now we're trying to pitch it, and we're out there doing the traditional way of pitching. At the same time, I'm looking at ways to use blockchain and NFTs to, monetize filmmakers. And I'm finding along the way that I love what Miguel is doing, and Jordan, and some things that Susie's been saying. And I'm very supportive of all that's going on. But at the same time, I just want to, talk about the real world right now. And we still are stuck, and will be, for some time in this old model. And we are up for consideration right now at a network. And one of the things they want to know is who is attached to this project. So, in other words, who have we made promises to? Because they don't want any messiness. They want a very clean deal. They don't want to have to say, well, you promised the director that he or she could direct this, series. They don't want to hear that you've made promises to investors. It's pretty much the less ties, the better. So I think it has to be, what is the goal of your project? What you want to do with it? Is it more about building community, addressing social impact issues? Do you want to make money off of this project? Because just like others were saying in this room, I've made promises in the past to people that have worked on our projects on the back and saying that, hey, if you work for less money because we don't have a lot to make this, we can pay you, we're going to give you a piece of the back end. Well, the back end never comes, as we've been discussing. We've made like 50% back on our projects, and I feel like that's success at this point. But that doesn't give me the funds to pay back people that were so, willing to help me out. And so I just want to look at this model moving forward. And when we're talking about DAOs and contributions and voting power, we need to think about these things. Where do we want to go with this film or series? And how will we take care of these people that we've made these promises to, and at the same time be able to sell our project to a streamer if that's our intention. All right, so thanks for letting me speak.
I love that because it's really true, right? So it's so funny that that at this very moment, Blockbuster Dial just liked this tweet about this room. But I think that we're so early, Sherry, and I do think that we all need to know uniquely what we want. Um, I think that one of the really great things, and we really are celebrating Miguel right now in many ways. But one of the, and it's because I also know his project, but is he uniquely knows what he wants and how he's moving through this space. But at the same time, it's like a big experiment. It's exploration. But by bringing up Blockbuster DAO, I'm saying they too know what they are trying to do. But we're so early that I really welcome the people like Tasa who wrote the Blockbuster DAO white paper, and the guys at Beam, Mihal and Cyprian, who are trying to create a platform that also our NFTs can stream on. I think that they have, as I was telling Cyprian the other day, I I don't think the way he does, but I need him in this space. I need him to teach, to be able to innovate in that way, because I think, my brain works a little bit differently, and where my strengths lie are different. So I love that you brought that up. I think we do need to be cognizant of these things moving forward. And I think it's important to keep doing that, but also to really believe in the Web3 ethos that as we grassroots, grow. People couldn't see, when email came, what use that would be, and they couldn't see the usage and the utility of the internet. And look what it's doing to us now. It's making us all digital animals. So, like, literally. Um,
Yes,
so
and Jordan, as you know, I'm playing both sides, right? Because I really want to be successful in this blockchain NFT world for filmmakers. I think that's the way we need to go. At the same time, if you're doing something, on a larger scale, just be aware that you could run into some of these roadblocks, and we know we have enough of them as just today as the model exists. And seriously, being considered by a network right now, if they were to hear I had a DAO attached to my series, I think they'd run in the other direction. So I'm just saying, beware, and let's think about ways, to get to move our new model forward. And just keep in mind, these things are still out there and will be for some time.
no, they're like monsters. I'm with you, and I know what you. And I know, Sherry, you're playing both sides, and thank you for that. I'm gonna go to Tens and then Petra and then Ted. Tens, welcome.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How are you?
We're good. We're good. Nice to hear you.
Likewise, I appreciate you guys hosting the space. I heard earlier you said that you guys have been doing this for a year straight. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
every Wednesday.
I just saw the room. WTF is happening in film this week in Web3, and I just came in. I don't know if you guys heard of Flinch. They're like a
Yeah, we know him.
Yeah, they're actually playing at ETH Denver this week.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's
Yeah,
great.
so,
That part I didn't know, but that's awesome.
yeah, so they have an in real life screening. I don't know if it's the first time, but I think so. So that's pretty cool, and I just felt like sharing it because I saw the title, and I'm super bullish on their project. I like the owner Cameron as well. He's a really good guy.
Yeah,
So
Cameron's been in here a lot and speaking about it, and I agree with you. And this is exactly what we want to hear about. Do you know if it's streaming just for East Denver, or is it going to be digital and available to us?
I mean, it's available now. I don't know if you guys allow people to pin stuff up top, but I
Do
could
it.
gladly, yeah, because you could watch the film right now. Um, I'll pin this up here, right here, and then you
Yeah,
guys
pin
could
it
just.
because I saw where they were streaming it someplace, but I've been a
So
little
yeah, they
under.
host like almost daily screenings in their server. If we get enough people, like I don't even mind hosting it in other servers as well. I love the movie actually. It's like right up my alley with like '90s hitman, like falling in love with with the woman. Like it's just right up my alley. So yeah, you could watch it though. It only costs if you want to buy it for yourself on their website. It costs like 2 Matic, and which is like super cheap. And then you have like access to it forever, and then like you're more than willing to like show it to anyone really. Um, but and when you buy it on their cinema on their website, it grants you whitelist for their project, which is like my PFP, which I think is super super dope.
That's right. Yeah, I did know all of this, and I'm so glad you brought it in and pinned it up there because that's what we want to know. It's like there's so much going on, like with Elena and or with Luis Film Frico's piece, and then with Flinch. And I knew that they were doing something, but I got to be honest. Sometimes I get a little overextended, and I don't remember all the details of all the projects. So thank you. If you're just in here, make sure you take a look at the top and all the tweets and that have been pinned up there, so you know a few of the things that have been going on. Tens, thanks for coming by. I'm gonna because we only here for about 10 more minutes, 10 or 15 more minutes. I'm gonna jump over to Petra and say welcome back, Petra. I know you got something to say.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about the real world again, and I just wanted to dip in and recognize that a lot about what DeFi really is arbitrage on the distribution of the weighted average cost of capital. And that the same people are telling you that they don't want to purchase or value your encumbered assets because they don't want to have to factor the liabilities that are contained in them. Are the same institutional investors who are investing in decentralized models because they offer a transparent way to track customer behavior in order to produce influence in markets. But I think the benefit that we get in Web3, and the reason I'm involved in this space, right, is that there are externalities in the methods of calculating this weighted average cost of capital, and that through models like the DAO model, like Kamani's model, there are ways to make that information available and consumable to mass audiences and allow communities to be able to be cognizant and aware of uh, those balances, those alignments in the economic framework that they're existing in. And again, I think the keys there to accessing that in the Web3 space is this idea of standards. But in Web3, we don't need and we don't really want a universal standard. What we need really are standards that drill down to their specific case for the community involved with it, but remain interoperable with the community of standards, I guess is how you describe that. So this is really key as we're building these projects. We have to remember that ultimately we need to avoid creating these same silos that we have in Web 2. And the key to that and the growth for everyone is the ability to tie all of this communities together through participation. Yeah, thanks.
That's so great. Again, like you're right. You are the perfect example of what I was talking about before, in the way that my brain doesn't think like yours, and so I need you on these stages. No, seriously, I need you on these stages to break things down like that, for me. And I know that a lot of people really appreciate that. And I appreciate you for coming back up, Patrick. Thank you so much. Hey, Ted, I see that you came on stage. You had your hand up, but then
Yeah.
you put your hand down.
Oh, I
What's
put it
up?
down because you said you were going to call on me, so I didn't want to keep it.
Oh, no, no,
Yeah,
you
yeah, I'm
gotta
here.
keep it up for me. I
Cool.
get confused.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Sure.
Appreciate it. Good to be here. I guess what's happening in film and Web3 this week, I just wanted to make an announcement, I guess. I've been working on a platform and I'm launching a film premiere Friday at 10 o'clock p.m., 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific time. And we'll be streaming for Bitcoin. And we'll be streaming for Bitcoin on a per second basis. This has been in development for 5 years. I've been working with my partner, Dave. I'm the filmmaker. I know the movie business. He knows the distributed ledger technology and wallets. And we were the first ones to stream a feature film for Bitcoin. And then we were the first ones to stream on a per second basis. Why does that matter? I guess is because in the future, you won't get stuck paying $19 for a movie. You might only pay 50 cents if you don't like it. So we'll see what the future has for that. But I'd like to invite everybody to see the movie. We're going to pay. And if you, I put a Clubhouse link in my Twitter that if you sign up and get a wallet, and Web 3.0 to us means privacy. Web 3.0 means to us that you own your information. You're not going to give me an email. You're not going to do anything. You're going to get a wallet on the platform by just putting in a username. We'll give you a penny. For that penny, for under a tenth of the penny, we'll stream an 11-minute short film on a per second basis. So you'll see the power of the technology. And then I have a media gallery for my new movie, Lord Timmy and the Mystery of the Last Master, that is in production this year. That is it's a dual project in that it's a movie because we love making movies. I'm going to make a movie. The movie I've written is like Back to the Future meets The Usual Suspects, and in that there's a crazy old professor and a young autistic kid, and together they solve the Byzantine generals problem, create a hashing algorithm that's stolen from them by the evil Satoshi Nakamoto, and Bitcoin comes in the movie comes from another dimension through a quantum computer made out of a black refrigerator. And so we're having fun with it, but we're educating people on what the technology is, what it's capable of, and how it can empower people or enslave people depending on who's building the products. And we've built a nice product in the form of a movie data gallery, where then you'll take the other 9 pennies, and if you want, you can read some of the script. You can read in the script, F-18 takes off down the runway, exterior Area 51 night. The F-18 takes off down the runway. Interior building X, the two men in black, and you can start to click the text, and it'll either take you to the dailies, what we shot of that, just for to show what we can do, and then and a couple of these scenes are edited so that you can also pay to watch the whole scene after you've read the script. And if it says 3-piece suit, Timmy in a 3-piece suit, you click that and it'll take you to the costume 3-piece suit. It'll take you to the footage of him in the 3-piece suit. Later on, it gets a little more complicated with patrons or investors. You could give them access to receipts and documentation, and you could charge as little as a thousandth of a penny, or you could charge $100 for somebody to see information if you feel that it has that much value. And I believe we've created a system right now where filmmakers can monetize their pre-production activity, can make top ramen at the very least if they have enough people that are interested in supporting them by viewing this data of screenwriting and storyboard creation, and taking pictures of locations and all the data we generate and that we think is important to us. It's really fun and sexy to movie fans. So we found a way to use distributed ledger technology. We chose to build on one of the Bitcoin protocols that allows us a very low fee. There's no gas here. It is for those of you that know the space, it's a hashing algorithm. It's a competitive mining environment out there. It's an immutable distributed ledger of information, and we feel it's a superior technology, and we found a way to eliminate the layer 2 solutions, and just means we take Bitcoin, we can cut it up into 1,000 pieces, we can make your penny go 1,000 different ways. And for like Sherry, what we've done is our video player that you'll see on Friday, we're charging per second for individuals, and we have a few wallets connected to that just to get everybody their money, the platform, the filmmaker. But if you wanted to download a movie on this player, we have an embedded player. We can give you 1,000 different wallets if you have people who've donated and you want to give them back, or in a case of a legal offering where you owe people money. To a certain extent, your investors can receive money. If you have 1,000 investors, they all have a wallet. Every time somebody streamed the movie for $5, they'd all get paid. I know that's me taking a lot of time talking, but that's what's going on this week at Web.3 and Film on Friday. So if anybody's interested, I got the link pinned up on my Twitter, and I'll pay for the movie. I'll share my technology with you. And if filmmakers like this and they want to use this, we'll show them how they can do it themselves, or they can come play with us. It does, we're all in this together trying to figure out this space as artists. I've just been at it for a little longer, and I'm at a place right now where I think filmmakers can now, without necessarily having to shove the round peg in a square hole and get an NFT set up, which is good, and you can and should do and explore those things. You can just now use distributed ledger technology and peer-to-peer cash to pay people to look at your movie data. How's that? I'm done.
I love that. I love it when first of all, I know every Bitcoin maxi is really going to love that. You're like, well, you don't need Ethereum and NFTs and gas. Bitcoin maxi. Uh, I think, Ted, I think this is awesome. It's the first I've heard of it. And for me to say that is the first I've heard of that particular thing. I think it's super, super cool. In fact, I'd love for you to like hit me up in my DMs, and maybe we can figure out a time to bring you back to kind of deconstruct that again for everyone, because that was loaded.
Yeah, for sure.
You
It's
know,
been 6-year journey from reading Blockchain for Dummies and having a vision and saying, how can I build this? And now I'm here, and so I'm so excited that this is one of the second room I've ever talked about it, because until I had something to show people, it was just a dream and a fantasy, right? But it's real now, so I'd love to share it and continue to share it with everybody in this room.
Yeah, that would be amazing. But yeah, because like, if you weren't here the thousand times I've said this, we've been holding these filmmaking rooms for a year now, every Wednesday. And the amount of innovation that I've seen, and from all sorts of different filmmakers and people coming into the space, has been so inspiring that, that it's has been, my commitment to keep creating community where we can keep supporting each other and trailblazing this. And you are the first person who's come in with this particular model, and definitely on on the Bitcoin ledger. So I think that, again, it was so dense that it's one of those things. It's a lot like Kamani. We were talking about Kamani earlier. When Kamani came with his tokenomics last June, I saw people just like not get him at all, but now people are really getting him, and it's because we've gotten so many more people coming into the space. And so I really appreciate what you're doing. If if you guys didn't hear, Ted's having a screening. It's his pinned tweet, so go check him out, follow him. This is going to just lead me to resetting and closing out the room today. Really appreciate all of you guys that came up and talked today, and just we've been doing so much very like really spotlighted things, and I wanted to open up the room, especially knowing that so many people are making so many things happen right now, where we could just as NFT squad, film squad family, celebrate one another and talk about it, and just sort of in a free form way. And I really appreciate all of you guys coming in and bringing so much alpha and value to the community. I talk about micro and macro actions. Follow each other. We are the community. We are the ones together making a difference, and we're not just making a difference for each other, but for all of our filmmaker friends that have been reluctant to be onboarded yet. They will come, but we have to show them, what we're doing. And let's see. If you don't know, we have a Discord. It's in my link tree, and if there's a few other announcements. We not only have this space on Wednesdays now, but we also have Mondays with Miguel from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern, and we have Saturday matinee with Jason Charnick at 2 p.m. Eastern, and a lot of really fun things coming up. As I said, on the 2nd, we are celebrating Miguel's feature film NFT drop, and he'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. And then on the 9th, we have Machen Amick from Riverdale, and her project, her film she just directed, that they're doing some mental health NFT and activism work around. So those are going to be on the Wednesdays, and I never know what Miguel's up to, but it's always fun on Mondays, and same with Charnik on Saturdays. So we will see you guys there. Miguel, do you want to tell people what's happening at 4 p.m.?
Thank you. Yeah. So at 4 p.m. we're hosting an AMA about Cagadita and everything we're doing with this pioneering feature film NFT project. So come to the Discord if you want to listen to that and ask your questions. It will be great to have you. And also, if I can just take a minute to say, Jordan, because I need to get it out of my chest. 10 minutes ago, Catalan film won the Golden Bear in Berlinale, in the top prize at the Berlin Film Festival, and that's just amazing for me. I'm so happy. It's a film from my, from the region where I grew up in Catalonia, and it's in Catalan language. And also, the director is kind of a friend of mine. She studied cinema in the same school where I went here in London, a London Film School. So it's just incredible. Her second feature film, Alcarràs, look out for it because it just won top prize at Berlin.
Oh my God, that is so exciting. That is so exciting for Catalonia, but also all of España. There's so much great stuff, but yes, especially for Catalonia. I love that. That is awesome. Film Frico, Luis, do you want to tell us about you're having a screening this week too? No? Did I lose you, Luis? Luis. Sophie's not here to laugh at me. Luis is on the other side.
Sorry, I got lost for a while. What did you say? Sorry.
There's just an ongoing joke how I will call on someone and call on them and they will not be there, and it's like a mic drop. What's happening with Elena on I think Friday, right?
Oh yeah, thank you. Yes, on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern time, we're gonna be doing a private screening of the short film on Beam. That's on Twitter. It's at Beam XYZ, and yeah, we'd love to have you all over there. We're gonna do a giveaway of one of the first 3, you could say, pre-launch NFTs for the people that assist to the screening. And after the screening, we're gonna be doing an AMA to chat about the film and I don't know, whatever you would like to talk about. So yeah, that's it. Thank you very, very much, Jordan, for the opportunity and reminding people here. And thank you everyone who helped with a retweet of the pin tweet that is on top of this space. It really means the world to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very cool. I'm very excited for this. And Ted, you want to tell people where they can go again for 1 p.m. on Friday?
Yeah, it's not my pin tweet, but it's my next tweet. It's a Clubhouse link, and we could start at Clubhouse, where I could at least direct people to the site. We have the site information in the Clubhouse link as well. We'll be providing the money. It's just want to show everybody the experience and show everybody what the future might look like.
And that's 1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific.
Awesome. All right, guys. Wow, what another fantastic room. Thank you guys for coming through. And yeah, this is every time I start to not be able to speak, it's because I know it's time to close the room. So anyway, Saturday, the 19th, we will be not, I believe Jason is shooting that day. So, there's only one thing more important than running a room, that's getting on set. So we'll see you next Monday, but actually we'll see you at 4 p.m. in Miguel's Discord for the AMA today, 4 p.m. Eastern time. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. You really make my day coming in and hanging out with you. So until next time, talk to y'all later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hasta luego.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys for taking the time.